Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the ranking member for the time. This bill amends the Regulatory Flexibility Act of 1980, and what it does is requires agencies to engage in so much analysis and so much new procedures that it basically befuddles the agencies to bring forth any rules in the future. It is elimination by burdensome regulation, and while it doesn't say they're eliminating rules, that's the effect of it. It subjects all major rules and other rules that have significant economic impact on a substantial number of small entities to review by small business review panels. The cumulative effect of this and other changes in H.R. 527 will be to undermine the ability of agencies to regulate consumer health and product safety, environmental protection, workplace safety, and financial services industries' misconduct, among other critical concerns. You know, we talk about small businesses, and small businesses are important and they create more jobs than any other sector in our economy. But small businesses are made up of human beings, and human beings also, all human beings, even if they're small businesses, to paraphrase Mitt Romney, who said corporations, they are people. Small businesses, they are people too. And small businesses are concerned about consumer health and safety because they are the victims of it, the product safety, and environmental protection, and workplace safety, and food and drug safety, and certainly financial services misconduct that almost brought this country to its knees in what could have been a depression but for the work of our great president and the Congress that worked with him at that time. This bill does little to help small businesses shape or comply with federal regulations. Right now, we can take for granted that the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, the places we work, the planes we fly on, the cars we drive, and the bank accounts where we put our savings are going to be safe because we have strong regulation. But if enacted this H.R. 527, it'll be harder, much more difficult, maybe impossible to provide those protections for future generations. H.R. 527 is based on the well-intentioned but false premise that regulations result in economically stifling costs. In particular, proponents of H.R. 527 and of anti-regulatory legislation generally, of which we've seen an abundance in this Congress, repeatedly cite a thoroughly debunked study by economists Mark and Nicole Crane, which made the ridiculous claim that federal regulations impose a $1.75 trillion cost to the economy. Ridiculous? Why, you say? Because they even admitted, and the Congressional Research Service said, it failed to account for any benefits of regulation. There are indeed benefits of regulation, and great ones. And the Office of Management of Budget said benefits outweigh costs. Moreover, the study was never intended to be a decision-making tool for lawmakers or federal regulatory agencies to use in choosing the right level of regulation. But they still use that as the basis for this law. So let's focus on the real facts. H.R. 527 will bring agency rulemaking to a halt because of multiple bureaucratic layers of review and analysis that it adds to the rulemaking process. It is de facto end of regulations. As Sherwood Bowler, a colleague of mine here in Congress of the previous Congresses from the state of New York, and a Republican, and longtime chair of the House Sciences Committee, recently warned, this measure ignores history. Newt Gingrich ignores history, larding the system with additional revenue reviews based on previous efforts that have slowed progress while helping nobody. Second, the bill clearly presents a serious threat to public health and safety for all Americans. It does this by eliminating the emergency authority that currently allows agencies to waive or delay certain analysis so they can expeditiously respond to national crises, such as a massive oil spill, or a nationwide outbreak of food poisoning, or an emergent financial marketplace meltdown. We've experienced all of these. The priority is to end emergencies and to have the emergencies agencies to say, sorry, we can't do this. We have to conduct regulatory analysis first before we aid the American people. 527 is simply chock full of crafty provisions to slow down rulemaking, requiring small business advocacy review panels to analyze rules promulgated by all agencies, and not just those from the three agencies for which review panels are currently required. Moreover, it would require review panels for all major rules, not just those that have a significant economic impact on a substantial number of small entities. And this bill would force agencies to engage in seemingly endless, wasteful, and speculative analysis, including an assessment of all reasonably foreseeable indirect economic effects of a proposed rule. I think we may see agencies purchasing crystal balls so they can comply with this inane requirement of looking into the future. As any first-year law student would know, it can take costly and time-consuming litigation to figure out exactly what is reasonably foreseeable and what is indirect. Where is Mr. Paul's graph? While adding analytical requirements and opportunities for industry to disrupt rulemaking, H.R. 527 provides absolutely no assistance to business in complying with federal regulations, which is what small business really needs. And for those of us who should really be worried about the national deficit, this bill has a hefty price tag. The most conservative estimate is $80 million, and a more realistic estimate is $291 million over a 5-year period. H.R. 527, like H.R. 3010, the other anti-regulatory bill. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ranking Member, may I have another 2 minutes?
Of course. Gentleman's recognized for an additional 2 minutes.
Thank you. H.R. 527, like 3010, which we'll consider today or this week, is simply a wolf in sheep's clothing. What proponents seem to describe as common sense revisions to current law actually would result in a dramatic overhaul of the rulemaking process, threatening agencies' ability to ensure basic health, safety, and other precautions. I oppose this bill and urge my colleagues to do so also. The cumulative effect of these and other bills would be to undermine the ability of agencies to effectively regulate consumer health, work product safety, environmental protection, financial services misconduct, and others. Right now we can take these for granted. This is a dangerous bill, and I would ask our members to vote against it and to think about the safety of the public in the future. Small businesses are people, as Mr. Romney said about corporations, and those people also suffer from the lack of regulation. I yield back the remainder of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.